Ladies and gentlemen, I am back. As you can see, I am donning all black because I am in mourning of the fact that I am no longer in Florida, where it is sunny, warm, there's beaches, it's not Michigan. Just, a whole list of things why I am mourning. We are back. Okay. You haven't really seen me in a little bit, and I don't think that's a bad thing. And I want to try and spin it before we get into the actual video about why I don't think that's a bad thing. So I've been making videos and posting them on social, as well as you getting an email if you follow my podcast. Um, you've been probably seeing my face at least once a week, at the minimum every other week. And there could be a point where, you see me enough, I become repetitive enough that you just almost sort of unconsciously tune me out. And that's fine. That is what it is. That is life. And so I think how this can also be applied to you is that if your social media strategy is essentially just much of the same, right? You're posting the same stuff all of the time. You're not really switching it up. It's very repetitive. I feel like a lot of your sphere, if you are not getting a ton of engagement, it is possible that your sphere, your people, sort of just kind of tuned you out because you are not surprising them, so to speak. Not that you have to surprise anybody on social media, but absence does make the heart grow fonder. I'm not telling you to take a social media break, but I am saying that if you're not getting the social media engagement that you might want, maybe try looking at what you're posting. Is it all the same? And is there anything that you can be doing different? That's not exactly the thing of this video, but I figured, I can spin it with what I was talking about. Okay, so the topic of this video is actually mistakes that agents make that can essentially throw them off track and put them behind in their, not necessarily career, but maybe like their job, their day-to-day life as a real estate agent. I found an article that's titled Eight Mistakes Agents Make That Take Them Off Track and How to Avoid Them. Now, there are 8 of them. I will say, I think 3 of them are just like not great, and I'll definitely let you know. I'm probably not going to spend a lot of time on them. So, hopping into the first one, which I think is a great one, is poor time management. If you are a real estate agent, which you are because you're watching this, you're definitely old enough to know that if you don't manage your time well, it's just going to be a lot of problems. No good thing has ever come, probably, from poor time management. It is only going to make your schedule harder than it needs to be, and it is only going to make your life harder, your job harder. Everything's harder, right? Just don't. If only it was that easy. If only you just woke up one day and when it's just like, you know what? I'm just not going to manage my time poorly anymore. I'm sorry. I don't think that's how any of this works. One of the things that it does say about the poor time management or, right spot is basically saying that you need to know yourself well enough to know when you are the most productive. When are those high energy hours in the day where you know that you can get work done? I guarantee you know those hours, whether or not you've consciously know those hours, but that like, oh, maybe I'm like really just like productive in the morning, or I'm really productive like right after lunch. That's just make a note of that and figure out when your high energy hours are, as they call them, when your productivity is at its max, and just sort of schedule your most important things for that time. If you are not productive from 12 to 4 or whatever time frame that is, don't schedule anything important in between 12 and 4, or you know what I'm saying, okay? Use a little bit of common sense, figure out when you work best, and try and get most of your work done in that time. I know that's like a perfect scenario, but I think you understand what I'm saying. The second one is not using systems. This whole one can be summed up with the usage of your CRM and making sure that you are getting everything out of it and letting it do everything that it's designed to do. Because at the end of the day, there is just too much going on in your life that, you can't remember every month to contact your sphere in some way. You aren't going to be able to remember every one of your past clients' birthdays. That's just not how this works. A CRM can help you do that. So if you're not taking advantage of your CRM, whichever one you are using, you should probably look into figuring out how to best use that. Next up, we have working by crisis and not objective. I think that this one could also be summed up as being reactive rather than proactive, meaning that you are constantly having stuff being thrown at you and you are always just having to react to whatever that is, and you never have time to be proactive towards the future. You never have time to sit down and plan because you're constantly trying to catch up on things. The way that you fix this, well, you got to start with time management. You got to improve that. And then you also have to have your CRM or any other system help you out to free up more time. So these are sort of all building on one another. Because if you're not great at the first two, then more than likely you are probably a little bit more reactive rather than proactive. And now we get into the first one that I'm not in love with, and that would be overanalyzing. I think this one was written and geared towards newer agents, because if you've been in the business long enough, you're not going to be sitting there thinking about, how often should you be reaching out to your clients? How often should you, how often should you be covering your bases with leads? It's just one of those things where if you're in the business long enough, sort of how to do it, and you're probably not going to be overanalyzing a ton of stuff. The fifth one that they have on here is thinking small. I don't love this one. I'm not going to spend a giant amount of time on it. I don't think it's a mistake. Now, granted, if you're constantly thinking small and you're never thinking about like how you can grow, then maybe that's a mistake, but I don't think it's a mistake that's going to kill you. So don't worry too much about that. You do you. Number 6 is trying to do it all. Now, obviously, if you are a person of one, you don't have a team, you're going to kind of have to do it all. Now, the one asterisk that I would put on this is if you can have your CRM or a computer or anything do anything for you, this is where you need to do it. Because if you are a person of one, a very small team that's just busy, you need to outsource things in order to make your life easier. Now, I'm not saying that you should outsource things in sacrifice of quality. You need to be a little bit picky on what you outsource and to who. Trying to do it all is not sustainable for the long term. You're probably going to get burnt out. Your quality is probably going to suffer if you are doing it over the long term. A project here or there, I get, but essentially, I think this is just trying to say don't make a habit of it. And almost last, we have being transactionally focused versus being relationship focused. I think you know exactly what I'm talking about here. Yes, transactions are great. Closings are great. Commissions, we love commissions. But relationships are essentially is what's going to keep you in business in the long haul. As you extend your career as a real estate agent, you know already that referrals are your best friend. Repeat clients are your best friend. So yes, getting that transaction is great, but don't focus solely on that. Make sure that you are actually having a relationship with your past clients as opposed to merely looking at them as a transaction. All right, well, that's about it for this video. I hope you guys enjoyed it. I hope you guys didn't miss me too much. You probably can't tell because I'm wearing a sweatshirt because it's, I don't know, like mid-50s right now. All right, guys, so that is it for this video. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you learned something, took something away from it. And as always, I will be seeing you guys next video.